Going live is what the little thing tells me. So this morning, I kind of exist. Certainly getting a tutorial on how to work the buttons behind the scenes. So it says it's live now, and some of you are watching. I'm going to open the Q&A app again, and if anyone could tell me, please, if you can hear me, and then I'm going to keep on going. And the Q&A app is right over here. Ramalama Ding Dong waits with a worm on his tongue. All right, I appreciate that. Thank you, Christy. That's good. Yeah, and anybody else too. So I assume we're on the air. Okay, cool. I think it might be my new super duper cable connection that is supposed to be, the upload's fine, but I was trying to upload a YouTube video, which it took me 3 times today, 3 tries. So could be the cable connection at the house, but I'm going to keep going. I see Barbara there as well. I see about 15 other people that have checked in. Thanks for having faith that this will still work. And Christy's saying, or Barbara, I forget how this goes, about the Anunnaki more. That's probably you, Barbara. Yay, audio and video, very good. Awesome, cool. We'll go as far as this can go today. I think it has to do with the cable connection. Appreciate you guys loading in. Some more people are joining. I can see it. I'm learning. There's also a chat box, which is to my upper left. It might be yours up here, the blue one. That one I'm not going to be monitoring today, but I will be looking at the Q&A app, which is about right there on my screen, on my side, but it would be there on yours. Real awakening. That's my interest with this. And yes, we can talk about the Anunnaki a little bit. In fact, let's just do it right off the bat. This is a free form forum, you know. Always from the beginning in 1989, when sort of the massive second time release tsunami wave of wake the bleep up, Tobias, to more of who you are. I'm not sure we can handle really seeing who we really are. It's a little bit overwhelming during ayahuasca ceremonies, which I'm not a pusher of. It's not a panacea. It is not a one size fits all for people at all. I happened to get a call to go do it 10 years ago in the Amazon jungle. And I just promised the universe, I said, okay, whatever you suggest, I'll do it. Careful when you do that, right? When you say, oh yeah, I'm ready for more, you're put on your protective headgear and put on the shoulder pads. You know what I'm saying? So I was standing in the Atlanta airport. I'll get back to that Anunnaki. I will, Barbara. Atlanta airport, and there's a time before the flight, and walking through the magazine store, the newspaper store, and there's a National Geographic Adventure, and I picked it up, and there's a picture of these slot canyons, those beautiful sandstone wave formation canyons that have been used from Chevy commercials to everything else here, in the last 20 years. And I felt a little something. I don't hear a voice. It's not a voice directly. And when you're first starting to open up to psychic stuff, you're going to go, oh, how come I don't hear the voice, or I don't see the spirits? You do. It's just this soft, still, small voice. And later you learn to sort of hear it more. It's like a background. It's like if you're sitting somewhere and someone says, hey, do you notice that bird back there? Oh, no, I didn't. It's kind of like that. Well, anyway, a little voice like that, basically, yeah, I'm listening to voices, told me, pick up the magazine. And I said, what for? I've been to that canyon, Antelope Canyon, by, Lake Powell in Page, Arizona. I've met the Navajo lady whose family owns it. Joy and I sat there for a half hour just visiting with her. There was no other visitors. We were very lucky. We went through the canyon by ourselves. So I don't need to read about it, and I don't like to buy magazines because it just ends up piling up stuff. Pick up the magazine. So I did. And I opened it to the middle of it, and it said, my journey visiting hell, my journey to visit shamans in the Peru and back. I started reading a paragraph of it, and I just could feel it. I go, uh-oh, I'm going to go do this, because I had promised the universe I would take the suggestion, and that was the suggestion. So that was 10 years ago. I looked for a long time to find a place that I felt comfortable with to actually bring people. And that happened about 2 years ago, or a year and a half ago. So we've been going down to this beautiful place in the Sacred Valley in Peru. And it's the exact vision I had of ayahuasca ahead of time, where she basically came to me in the second ceremony ever, laying there in the jungle, doing sort of a heavy purging shamanic workshops, traditional, very, very powerful, very good. Pioneer, the young guy that did that, awesome guy. And his Peruvian shaman is probably one of the best in Iquitos. Be careful when you go there. As usual, 80% is charlatans and 20% is the gold. It's the same everywhere. So I have a video about that, buyer beware, caveat emptor on ayahuasca if you look on Google. So it's important where you do it if you're going to do Aya. But anyway, way before, in 1989, as this stuff started opening up, I used to start having ETs come visit me in the bedroom. And while I was reading Whitley Strieber's book, Communion, and it kind of freaked me out. It started opening up to the little gray guys. And in my view, they're not, you got to be careful when you're playing with that stuff, because they're not all good. ET does not equate to automatically good. It's just not how it is. And at that time also, the Anunnaki started showing up. There's a guy who's passed on now who did a really scholarly, Glenn Kimball was his name. God bless you, Glenn. I talked to him once. But he was very, very strong. Often pioneers have to be incredibly strong and sometimes have kind of big egos so they can survive. It's almost like icebreakers need to be icebreakers. And so icebreakers and consciousness need to be like, boom, I'm going to do this. So they're like, God bless David Icke. I love his stuff, but he's got to be fucking strong to get that icebreaker out in there to the world, right? So he's kind of sometimes like, this is my job and that's it, and stay the bleep away from me, So when the Anunnaki thing showed up, I was very strong with these they're little robots, the little gray guys. And I said, basically, get the bleep out of my room. No, you can't be here. You have no rights to me. You can't, nothing. Stay away from my energy. You have this power. Okay. If there's any unwanted visiting going on at night or elsewhere, you can say no to it. Just receive that. Drop it in. Drop it in through your head, through your solar plexus, your heart, up your root chakra, whatever you prefer. Drop in. I can say who has permission and doesn't have permission to interact with me. Very important. There's several key steps on real spiritual awakening. One of them is boundaries, obviously, just like it is in real or in what we call 3D life. The Anunnaki always felt creepy to me. With Zechariah Sitchin showing up, it was like, yeah, there's truth to this, that there's definitely and Michael Tellinger's work, I'd rather you study him than Zechariah Sitchin's. But I could always feel Zechariah Sitchin's was patriarchal. It's the patriarchal control, the Jehovahism. And as we've seen, Jehovahism, whether it's with the Hebrews or the Christians or the Muslims or all the different splinter sects, that it's obviously not very loving. It's rule-oriented, autocratic, patriarchal, shaming, controlling, and blood sacrificing. It literally blood sacrifices goats and lambs, and nowadays by the thousands, the Muslims do the Hajj and they slaughter animals and the blood's just running, and we do too. We shouldn't think we're better. We do it. We eat 35 million cows a year, whatever, So the Anunnaki have as an inception point that. Now, my sense is it does come from Sumer, right? And then Babylonia, but it involves power. It's about power more than it is about love. And that after the fact, you've had Jesus, Joshua, Moses too, to some degree, tried to inject it, set some freedom going, although he got the shift happened on Mount Sinai. Moses was a high priest in Egypt. You read the story. It's a filtered story. The Pentateuch, the first 5 books, the Genesis books, the Moses books of the Bible, is Moses as a high priest trying to water it down, way down, so illiterate, poor Hebrews that have been enslaved for generations. Could you imagine? Illiterate, enslaved. What could you possibly know? And there's Moses with some of the highest teachings on the planet, the Library of Alexandria, the secret Atlantean tablets, the Emerald tablets, the ancient history of Earth. And he's an initiate. He's not just a librarian. He's an initiate Moses, meaning he's gone through the pyramid initiation process, which still existed outside of time. It was done by the Ra people, by the Atlanteans, by Hermes, Trismegistus, by Thoth, by the cadres of priests that would have to spend years to get ready to be initiated in that sarcophagus. Not a sarcophagus, it's an initiation box in the center of the pyramid. So Moses is trying to explain that to illiterate Hebrews, And as soon as he goes up on the mountain, and he's actually putting down a simplified version of Egyptian edicts that are in the positive spin, meaning things like, if you treat others well, they will treat you well. Honoring your father and mother, they're suggestions. Remember that God is one. The Amun Ra is one. Instead of thou shalt have no other gods before God. So he goes up there first and he has the positive way of explaining the 10 suggestions, the 10 recommendations. But he comes back and they've reverted to basically black magic rituals, sex rituals. That's the multiple, just orgies of inviting Baal or Molech or whoever the fuck they're worshiping, and they're bringing that into their bodies. And Moses just he kind of has a hissy fit. He gets pissed, understandably. Takes the fucking recommendations, the Egyptian higher teaching ones, smashes them and goes, "You want frickin' rules? I'll give you rules, goes back up on the mountain. But at that point, it switches from loving God, the positive path, the via positiva, the learning through love, the learning through freedom, through enjoyment. It switches to, you want frickin' rules under my thumb, right? You're going to get rules. And that was a potential choice point that Moses tried to give to those people. And then it went under. And when it goes under into rule and domination and patriarchy, it slipped back to the Anunnaki. In fact, that's not right. I could just feel it right then. It went from the Atlantean teachings, which were corrupt in the end as well, but it went to then the Anunnaki could slip in. See, Moses was going to try to do it. That's why sort of real God put Moses in Egypt, to try to resurrect some of these ancient positive teachings, you know. And then when that happened on Mount Sinai, then the Anunnaki from then the east slipped in these black magic rituals, Necronomicons, you know, jinn, working with discarnate entities, and one big dude, Jehovah, who slips in then and becomes the God of the Hebrews. He's not God. He's a demiurge, meaning a partial, demi, just a piece of the big urge of the universe. He's the demiurge. The real urge, the real impetus, the real motivation of source is the urge. But a demiurge means you're just a little wannabe. And so Jehovah slips in there, Yahweh, whatever you want to call them, Yod, 100 different names. And the rest is, you know, sad history, really. Divide and conquer from there on into all the sects you could imagine. And right now, what is it, 1,500 different kinds of Christian churches, and Muslims have a few less, but they're equally vicious, fighting each other, infighting. The Coptic people, you know, after Jesus, it still happened as well. So the Anunnaki is part of this patriarchal kind of domination brought in by the Levites, right? Kill the goddess, kill the nature, dominate nature, kill the animals, slit their throats, blood sacrifice them, even people. That's not talked about so much. But it was, if you read between the lines, you can see in the Hebrew, the Semitic stuff, oh, our enemies are fair game to fuck, slaughter, burn at the stake, you know, whatever. They're not, it's so dangerous. It's not about anti-Semitism at all, but every people thinks they're the center of the universe. I go to Hopi Land. If you go to the menu, look at the menu in the restaurant at the Hopi Cultural Centers, Hopi, the center of the universe. Each tradition thinks our gods are the center of the universe. The people is us. So it just so happened that the Hebrews did the same thing, and they have just been much better at, or maybe because of the diaspora, the splintering of sending the tribes all over the world, that they spread theirs. And also the fact, let's be honest, I get in trouble maybe for this, but they are very much oriented around money and making sure they have power and safe, and they operate inside money. So that tends to lend power across the planet as well. Again, this is every tribe on earth is going to have to get real with their history, you know. So the Anunnaki were part of that. Jehovah is actually a lower level officer of this ET group. It's many, many groups of ETs have come. The Rama people, you know, the blue people of India, Krishna, Rama, Shiva, Vishnu, all that. They are an off-world ET race as well. Well, the Anunnaki are another one. So there's been many visits. Pleiadians are another one. Earth is on the crossroads, really, of, there's certain nodal points in the galaxy, like just like a flower of life or a grid system that you lay out, or on Earth, you have the 19.5 degree. There's certain sacred geometries, like, for example, for our planet, that tetrahedral, the 64, I forget the exact name of it now, but anyway, it has certain ley lines, ley points, sort of surfacing points inside a globe. Well, the galaxy also has ley lines, has certain taking off points, Stargate points in the galaxy. And that's laid out on a grid pattern. Someone should come up with that. What's the grid pattern on the galaxy for nodal stargates. That would be really cool, actually. Well, apparently one of those nodal stargates that are easy to travel to, to jump to, is very close to our solar system. So we've been fairly frequently visited. We've not been quarantined. Earth, we were at one point, about 5 million of our Earth years, we were still sort of an incubating Earth spirit planet. We had no interaction and then later interference from other species around the galaxy. But so Earth has been visited a lot. The Anunnaki are just one of those. It's just one of those. But like everyone else, that we are egocentric. So we say God for everyone. It's not God for Jehovah. Has nothing to do with Aborigines in Australia. The Hebrew tradition has not. They're completely different planets and universes. The Japanese history, the Oriental history, the Chinese think they're the center of the world. Totally. Just like the Hopi and the Hebrews. We're the only chosen ones. It's the same story with cult cultures, right? So, but they're very, very different. And often these were started by different off-world species. There's 100+ pyramids in the hinterlands of China. Google it, pyramids in China. Aerial photography, it's there, 100 pyramids. They have stories of those who from above came, which is what Anunnaki means, literally. Now, I've never felt drawn to it. And when Zechariah Sitchin got real famous, I was like, icky. It feels like, again, promotion of this fallen race of the Anunnaki that got left behind. Now, why are they always obsessed with not being left behind? Because they were left behind. E.T., phone home. I want to go home. Why? Dare I tell this? This is a big truth. This one coming up. The reason Spielberg makes those movies, now he's got heart, beautifully done, in my opinion, is because there's a longing of races, certain races that got left behind on Earth. There's Earth spirits completely at home with Earth. Like I was just in Ireland. That's a bunch of Earth spirits, okay? The gnomes, the fairies, even the naughty leprechauns. And we also cross-incarnate, Many of us have been Earth spirits, pan spirits, But there are races that came from outside, and some of them came here to harvest things. And apparently with the Anunnaki, that's what it is. The story is, of course, they were harvesting gold for their atmosphere, which if the man on the planet, in my opinion, is Michael Tellinger on that. So look up his stuff about Adam's calendar and so forth in Africa. It wasn't just in the Mesopotamian region. If you look at a Google satellite view down there, you go through the Straits of Hormuz and up inside the Arabian Peninsula, the Tigris and Euphrates, you can see that their river channels go far out under the ocean. The sea level has risen about 400 feet. That's where the Garden of Eden, Eden was. Eden, the Pangea, is much, much older, where Earth was one mass, where Earth was one global mass. This secret, too, geologists are going to freak out on this one, that the Earth actually has been growing a little bit. It grows. There's stages when it grows. And there was a time when all the Earth plates, you can see it obviously with South America and Africa, it was fitting, it's a puzzle piece. And even that's taught that at one point they were connected. But I'm getting erased right there. So the Eden was just a smaller piece of the larger collective remembering of the Pangea Eden, where we were free spirits. We had no need to eat. We ate directly off the manna of heaven and so forth. But anyway, so the Anunnaki came to do a certain harvesting, and they did play with genetic manipulation. They took our current species, there's several humanoid species on Earth, and that happened in India too, by the way. The Ramayana story and Hanuman, the monkey, these were ETs, the blue rays people. Are they from Orion? Probably, most likely, right? the Shiva, Vishnu, Krishna thing is really the same thing, different times and places as some of the Egyptian Osiris and Isis. That's my guess, sense of it with the Akashic records right now. I wouldn't say 100% on that, but that's really similar at different times that they came. Those blue people, the blue people, which now, according to, are returning back again. I've been attracted to the blue sun about 5 years now. I've been keeping that on my Facebook page because it just resonates with me, that kind of blue. So, and other researchers are talking about it now as well, you know. So the Anunnaki came for a particular mission. They came to harvest their gold. All of 20,000 harvest places in southern Africa got their gold, left. However, in the meantime, some of these people that were working, an officer in the army of the Anunnaki was named Jehovah. This is the story that feels right to me. And they got enamored of the Earth girls. Earth girls are easy. Earth girls are fun. They were on furlough. It's like our soldiers in Iraq. There's some shit that goes on you don't know about with the local women, right? Little girls. Not good stuff. Same thing happened with the Anunnaki. They would actually have the landing platforms that was ziggurats, the old pyramids in Sumer, they have a flat top because the ship would land on there, and then they made it, of course, you just program the people, just like we have the cargo cults in the Pacific now. From the Second World War, when the Americans used to land planes on certain islands in the Pacific that they had never seen white people or any kind of people besides themselves, they were Stone Age level, they will actually rebuild the airplanes out of wood to make them look like complete with the USA logos, hoping the gods are going to come back. That's going on right now in the Pacific. You can look it up. Cargo cults. Google it. Well, it's the same in Anunnaki land. They come in with a super high tech. The local people are like, oh, these are gods. They're not gods. They're soldiers on fucking furlough. So some of those soldiers start participating too much with the local earth women, right? It's in the Bible, right? Looked upon the daughters of men and found them fair. Well, there's a law in the universe that if you create babies, if you create pieces of yourself, that umbilically ties you to that place. And so now they couldn't survive in our atmosphere. So Jehovah had to find, he's stuck here. He's what? Left behind on earth. Not a happy prospect. The gods left. They're like, okay, we got the gold. We're out of here. We don't want to hang out with these ape humans, the mud people, right? From their perspective. So, but Jehovah and a few of his officers are stuck here because they've been indulging too much. Problem is they don't breathe the atmosphere very well. They actually have scale skin, the reptilian in a sense, but it's not sort of snake reptilian energy. It's just it's a reptilian DNA. Again, this one's very tricky for people. People always ask me, are the reptilians good or bad? I say, well, are humans good or bad? Some are good, some are bad. Depends on your perspective. Same everywhere. But so they had to stay present, the Anunnaki, after they're left behind. You can't get off the planet. You know, you've attracted enough or created enough babies, which they used to do. And they were giants. So they would create kind of big offspring, you know, as well. They get stuck here. And so they have to survive. But they don't want to surrender into having total human bodies. So they're kind of in between dimensions as well. One of the ways that they gain sustenance, and this is where it goes kind of evil or icky or, you know, is they need blood sacrifice because they feed on the interdimensional energies. Your blood, you create 750 million blood cells every day in your body, full of life force, better than chi, better than Reiki, right? So the whole vampire idea or stealing energy, well, it's across the galaxy. It's been going on for eons, but here on Earth, so Jehovah starts needing blood sacrifice, for example. And though much of it has been taken out of those, quote, holy scriptures, it's still in there, you know. stories of them giving their children to these bronze gods. They would just heat up and burn them alive in it. I mean, it's just terrible stuff. That's part, if you read in the Old Testament. So learning to see, get the scales come off, and I think it's one of my videos, Abrahamic blood sacrifice religions. I go into details on it on YouTube if you're more interested in that. So that they got stuck on Earth. They are not the heritage for the other beings on Earth. They are a heritage for their own offspring. The offspring that the Anunnaki created on Earth, the Semitic tribes, which is the Arabs and the Jews, that's their collective history. Now, there's a larger experiment. I know, dangerous to even talk about this, right? People just start flipping out. But we got to get real with it. The larger picture on Earth is that we're here to learn from each other. So you've got the Aborigines, you got Orientals, you got white people, you got the Ronalokas, the black people, the golden spirits of Africa. You've got a whole mix here to actually learn. The white people learn to mix these frequencies, and that's because it is a galactic melting pot. The Earth, I don't think it's the only one. But there's not. It doesn't happen very much in our galaxy. Mostly we have homogeneous, meaning the same type of people. The Pleiadians are homogeneous people. They don't have locks on the doors. They're all peaceful. They live as long as they want. There's no murder, blah, blah, blah. It's all heavenly and all that bullshit. Heavenly. But it's homogeneous. They're not trying to integrate. They're not integrating so well with the reptilians. Read the channeled stuff on Pleiadians and you go, they kind of fight the Lizzies, as they say it, right? Earth is an integration experiment for the galaxy. There's a whole nother thing on that. We can go into detail. So it's actually a very brave thing to do, to come to Earth. It's leaving your hometown, your home planet, and trying to feel different frequencies. It's easy. You know, you grew up in America, and a lot of Americans are kept dumb on purpose. It's the same all over the world, but because America is insulated, you have a West, there's people don't travel internationally in America. I mean, the elite do, the 20%, but the 80%, they don't. They don't learn a foreign language. So they're kind of scared, or therefore the concept of the ugly American, when we travel to, Vienna or something, it's like, get a picture of me, honey, in front of the fountain, and it's cringeworthy, right? And if you've traveled, you know that. America's the best and the worst. I'm not picking on America. I came here. I want to be here. I don't want to be anywhere else. Love it. This is where the action is. This is where the hope's going to come. It's what Leonard Cohen says in his song, democracy is coming to the USA, the home of the cradle of the best and the worst. Yeah, we're brave enough to fucking play with it. So I'm into it. Love America. So the Earth is kind of like that too. Like America is a melting pot for civilization, for different cultures on the planet. Earth is a melting pot for the galaxy of different types of spirits. When I work with spirits, I can feel where they're from. They're off-Earth spirits originally, and other spirits are from the Earth originally. The Anunnaki were just one of the influxes of an ET influx that have happened in Earth's history. It's happened everywhere. Go to Hawaii, the original little Menehune, and the Pleiadians were involved with that, and other little star beings. Everywhere you go, there's been this mixture going on. So was Jehovah a psychopathic alien? You could say that from one point of view. Could you say that he's also just doing that as part of, and he doesn't know he's a pawn in a bigger game to help create this strange melting pot on Earth? You could say that too. It depends on, yeah, listen, if you're watching on YouTube, by the way, you're getting me 30 seconds later than actual live. Live is on Google Plus. It just takes 30 seconds to start recording it and transferring it over to there. So that's enough on the Anunnaki, I think. We could spend days on that stuff. But I always cringed a little bit at Zechariah Sitchin stuff because I could feel like I go, he's one of them. He's one of the patriarch. Keep worshiping the patriarchy. And the way you can tell with spirits is, in my point of view, And again, it's all God, it's all source. So being an Anunnaki, what's wrong with that? It's part of the universal play, you know. But on Earth in general, she tends to like soft green mosses, indigo sunsets, water, playfulness, sexuality, enjoyment, giggle factors, fairy play, trolls too. Nothing wrong with trolls, right? Um, Earth is an earth spirit realm. Um, she tends to enjoy love. She's not a technical worshiper. She'll put up with technology, but her original intention for Mother Earth is not. She doesn't grow technology. She grows oak trees. She grows little furry animals. You know, so the way you can tell if spirits are from Earth or not is how do they feel about nature? How do they feel about nature? Do they feel safe with it? I was just in Ireland and I was like, I didn't go to a pub once. I didn't even go to Dublin. I hung out in the green places. Why? Because it felt good to me. I was high after we finished our Course of Awakening retreat. We walked to a place called Glendalough. This Glendalough. Loch is like a Loch Lomond. It's a lake, right? Like the Scottish thing, loch. Same there. Glendalough. Something magic. Glenda, right? The Good Witch. Glendalough. And we walked along there. It was just these big ancient trees. And they were literally being like circles. The trees would grow in circles. I was just like floating. I went back twice because I just wanted to be with the land, with the energy of it, and feel it. Now, I'm not saying technology versus the organic. Earth is also about maybe we can put together, where there can be a cooperation of high tech, Stargate, you know, artificial technology, and it can function lovingly together. It's a very dangerous thing because across the galaxy we have artificial intelligence, which is literally like Terminator movies, the Arnold Schwarzenegger Terminator movies. They're actually true, okay, where machines take over. It goes on in the galaxy. And there's an influence on Earth where certain people, the AI prophets, Ray Kurzweil, the guy who invented the, you know, the electronic piano, you see Kurzweil on the rock and roll pianos, is a foremost proponent of this. You know, he's looking for, quote, the singularity when machinery takes over and we can live forever and download our spirits into machines. You know, pretty weird, right? But for those that want to employ that or go down that path, that is part of the free will experiment allowed. But I'm going to tell you, anywhere in the galaxy, it has never worked. AI always takes over and kills the organic life. It just decides at one point, you're too inefficient, you're too unpredictable, you have spontaneous feelings, which we don't understand, and the artificial intelligence basically wipes out organic life on the planet. But that's a whole nother topic that you might want to investigate, you know, AI. So Earth is this galactic melting pot. So we have about 15% of the actual humans here, 15 to 20%, are not from here. They're literally ET, star seeds, whatever you want to call them, wanderers, travelers that are comfortable and actually enjoy visiting different star systems in the galaxy. Just like on Earth, some people love to travel. Others are like, no, I'm going to stay in my hometown. I love it here. That's all I want. And it's the right thing. You know, and if you're doing it out of a phobia or a fear, you know, maybe that's not the healthy thing. But there's a right time to just be. I mean, I can feel it in me. Just want to go live in a little place by a river, you know, and just be with that part of the earth. So it's not about judging. It's about noticing, discerning, learn to discern, you know. Now, the larger thing, I'm still learning how to scroll some of this. The larger thing on the planet about the larger awakening, this is a time on Earth when many are interested. Many souls are coming in. It's happening anyway. It's sort of like when things grow, you can't stop them. The tree's gonna bear fruit. So there are cycles in the galaxy. There's these large cycles, spirals of the galaxy. And there is a phase that changes. It used to be called the new age is coming, a new dawn is coming, a new heaven and a new earth, and so forth. Yeah. And it's just spiritual physics. As the galaxy spins, the giant soap opera, as the galaxy spins, right? We shift into different things, just like spring, summer, winter, fall. Those are real seasons. Well, there's seasons for a galaxy. The ancient Vedas, the Hindus would talk about the different yugas, Y-U-G-A, yugas, different ages of darkness, of tamas, of the I forget which one that is. I should know these things, but since my last couple of lives were in India, I've like, I don't want to relearn all that stuff. Tetra Yuga, maybe Treta Yuga might be the dark one. I forget. Kali, probably Kali Yuga. So that's when you go down into full-on Neanderthal fighting, ego, survival of the fittest. But there's cycles to it. The Greeks called it the Bronze Age, the Silver Age, the Golden Age. You know, they had different cycles of it too. So the Earth is now entering into an age of electricity, of reawakening to the finer energies. So then a few years ago, and it's happening super fast, like 100 years ago, you know, light bulbs, energy. Tesla was obviously very early trying to bring that stuff in. Who knows why he did that? So we're going to be reawakening, many of us, to these very much finer energies inside ourselves. Wow, I'm seeing a lot of comments. Oh, cool. Somebody from Holland, middle of the night, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, Natalie. Cool. So this is an age of the finer energies into the Sattva Yuga. I forget which one it is we're entering. So we're going to be reawakening to much finer energies in our bodies, like feeling your inner energy. Before it was like, I'm just a piece of meat. I might have a spirit later, but I don't know. I don't care. I'll just do my religion and, you know, live my life and die. Well, that's changing. You're going to learn to feel your energies coursing through your body, over your skin, feeling yourself being touched by divine energies. If you ever feel those kind of, what the hell was that? It feels like a spider web or something tickling down the side of your brain or in, you know, these are finer energies that we're learning to feel. The InnerBodyAwakening.com, that's my method of doing it for people, just talking you through it. That's the one I get the most sort of physical feedback on, how people really feel the energies. And it's really the safest way to do it. You want to learn to have the foundation correct. You want to learn to actually feel energies instead of imagine energies. Yeah, you can theorize and be a librarian about all this stuff. Information's fine, but information without connection is just information. A master is first and foremost relevantly connected to the foundation. That's why yoga, the first steps of yoga is the asanas, the ass. Get your asana on the ground. Get your ass on the ground. Asana means comfortable seat. It means being able to feel, get the body healthy so it can then start downloading the higher energies. You can't download 1,000 volts into 1,000 watts into a 50-watt light bulb. You can't do it. It'll pop. So humans cannot handle the truth, the downloads, unless the nervous system, the neurology, and the spirit and the physical body can come along with it. This is why, by the way, in the past, whenever strong spirits have come in, the old model has been that the body's not been able to handle it. Joan of Arc, Elvis for that matter, or Michael Jackson. There's so much spirit coming in, but they're not upgrading the physical body along with it. So shit happens. The body, you know, gets overloaded, or in those cases, they got stuck on the pharmaceutical drugs, of course, and didn't know better. But even people before we did all that, people would live short lives that were super spirit people. It would be like it burned bright, but it burned you out. The body and the spirit have been disconnected. And so with this new model for real ascension, The body has to come along with it. The body has to be able to hold that power. You need to be able to transmute it like a transformer on the telephone pole. It needs to catch this super strong, whatever it is, the voltage going through those wires is a lot more powerful than the stuff coming out of your wall. Well, for you to be a transducer, a downloader, an ability to do that, your nervous system needs to be able to transform up and down the ladder of energy, the stairway to heaven of the different dimensions, Jacob's ladder. We even call it that. Those electrical things, that come up like the Tesla coil, or not Tesla coil, but Jacob's ladder, when electricity rises, usually in horror movies, pops at the top. That's a Jacob's ladder. You need to learn to download and upload. We are like little acupuncture needles for Mother Earth. You could say in one way she's using us to communicate with Father God, Spirit, and Earth. The tree feeds the roots into the ground, and if it feeds the ground into the sky and the sky into the roots. That's what you are. You are a tree of life. But to do this enjoyably, you have to be able to transduce, process, transform, allow it to keep moving through you. And if you have any blocks, it'll blow those out or create disease in you. So it's very important, if you want real awakening, which is what some of the topic was here today, to be able to hold the real downloads, the real inspiritation, spirit jumping into your body. There's certain things that you can't eat after a while. Actually, it goes away naturally. You just lose it. You go, I don't want that anymore. And eventually on the stairway to heaven, Jacob's ladder, back towards living directly off the manna of heaven, of directly off of liquid, light bread. I have bread you know not of, Jesus says. What's he talking about? That doesn't make any sense. The initiate disciples of him, they got it. The people, the regular people have just gone, I don't get that. How can you not eat and live? That's why, and this is another thing. So in this age of the new energies coming, we're going to learn to live more directly off just light, energy directly. It's a Kachari mudra. You can look it up. Khechari, Kachari mudra. Can I make comments on this thing here? Let me look. I can write some of this stuff in. Anyway, the Kachari mudra is a way of your tongue actually going up inside you in the back, and it goes up into the brain and stimulates the pineal and pituitary gland. I know. Don't force any of that. It's usual the fanatics go crazy. The fanatic yogis will do it before they're ready for it. These are natural things that come. But feel just this thought. Your own body, your spinal column, your brain flowering are fine antenna receivers. Your sciatic going down your legs are the roots. Your root chakra, if you put your attention just right now, a little bit on your root chakra, feel it relaxing. Yes, your asshole. We have no good words for this stuff. And your sciatic nerves down the back of your legs, the center of your legs, the bottom of your feet. And you let that breath happen at the same time as you're feeling your root chakra and feeling down your legs. Drop a tail, an energy, qigong tail. I'm doing it as I'm talking to you. And feel the comfort start happening. Feel the bottom of your feet touching the floor. You can talk to the center of the earth with your tailbone. That's a very secure feeling, a very secure place. That is integrally important if you want real expansion. Ascension has been the old way. I'm going to send my ass send my way out of here. Maybe that's what needed to be done in the fallen state of the Dark Ages. But that's not the truth now. It's time to come off the mountain and merge. When I asked ayahuasca one time, I asked her during a ceremony. I've only done 30 of them in 10 years, and I'm doing more of them now because I'm taking groups every 6 months down to Peru. It's not about frequency. It's about timing the right thing. It's about living, being human. It's not about escaping in any way. And that's why ayahuasca definitely, she doesn't let you escape. She's going to have you look at certain things. But with her one time, being the nosy, inquisitive, impertinent guy or whatever, I asked her directly, I said, were you ever human? And she didn't usually get those questions, I guess. Now she's very fast because she's a goddess. She's an ascended human being. And this is what I was asking her about. And she's a goddess from outer space. She's a ET. That's a conundrum. Real large spirit beings like Shiva, ayahuasca, Christ, Jesus, so forth, different people, they are galactic beings. So they tend to be very large and have lots of experience. So I'm asking her, were you ever human? And she kind of looked at me. She's very funny, very playful. She joked with me and said, she looked behind her like, what? You're not allowed to ask these questions. She said, yeah. Actually, what she said right away, I said, have you ever been humans? Telepathic. She immediately, like, she's sharp. She's way ahead of me, right? She goes, yeah, but I don't want to talk about it. I said, have you ever been human? Yeah, but I don't want to talk about it. Joking, got me laughing. That's usually a way to get you off track. And I go, I got you, but I'm not going to let go. And so I kind of went behind her to read her Akashic records, her files of her history. We are all allowed to do that when we reach certain places of non-judgment. If you don't judge any of the universe, then you're allowed to know everything. Again, I'm reading some of these questions. Thanks, guys. And I'll let the ones that pop out work. So I asked her, were you ever human? And then she joked when I went around her to start reading the files. She's like, hey, who let this guy have access? I'm going to have to talk to these guys. So, she's playing with me. Who lets him in? He shouldn't be allowed to read the records. It's very funny. Spirit's very funny, very playful, very loving, very harsh, very strong. Whatever you need. Spirit is total chameleon. It is all things. It's 1,000 heads and 1,000 arms and personalities. That's why in the Hindu thing, they try to depict that a little bit with all those heads and arms and all that stuff. They're all forms. Well, she showed me, or rather, she couldn't prevent me from, or, whatever. I had access to the records. And she was obviously actually fine with that. I saw how she was a human being. I could see her face in the upper altiplano of Peru, one of her human incarnations. Certain nose. I could see her as this beautiful bronze woman, but not like the natives look today, a little taller and a little more aquilinear, And I could feel how she went down into the jungle. And in the jungle, her awakening came in an expansion, not an ascension. Not I want to get the fuck out of here. I don't want to be on Earth anymore. Not like that at all. She expanded and merged. Do you ever see, like, it's a horrible image when they do a bomb wave, like it goes off and it goes, spreads out like that. Imagine a good one, a good expansion, dropping a love bomb or an awakening bomb or an expansion, energetic rings, like if you drop a pebble in a pond. She did that, and she merged with all the jungle, all the animals, the jaguars, the ocelots, all the insects, the anaconda, obviously, if you do ceremony with Aya, she is the anaconda, and the condor, and the puma, and all of them, and the hummingbird, and the jaguar. She merged with all the plants and all the animals of the Amazon in particular. And so it was more of an expansion. Feel the shift in yourself. The old way might have been ascension, raise the kundalini up the spinal column and go out the sahasrara and merge with all this, right? But is that really including the body? Or is that kind of torquing your way out of the body? Now often I think what actually happened with those real like the Shiva yogic processes, you would take the body with you. But there's some Tibetan rainbow practices where they do not take the body with them. Even when they do the rainbow body and there's just a little 6-inch little black cremated small body left, they still didn't take it all with them. Real mastery that we're going to be learning and heading towards. This is the inception point. Right now, it's just mass fucking confusion on Earth. Survival terror. Who's going to elect who? Who's going to fucking murder who? Are we going to do World War III or are we not? Are we going to surrender to total control by cabals or are we going to actually get free? It's just, right now, it's just outrage. Right now, we've avoided, it's like we have avoided studying all semester. And now we have to actually take an exam, right? So we're kind of cramming or puking a lot. We're puking up a lot of stuff right now. We're actually doing incredibly well. You know, the last 60 years, we've heard about imminent war in the Middle East, World War III, right? Doesn't happen. Why? In my opinion, it's because we are under grace. Edgar Cayce, his predictions were basically always correct. Always. He'd do the health readings and they'd be 100% correct. He'd say things like, well, you go to the old apothecary on Main Street in Missoula, Montana, in the back room, and the fourth shelf down, and back there's a bottle labeled so-and-so. Go there and get it. And he would do that from 500 miles away. The person would go to the apothecary and say, I want this stuff. And they go, we don't have that. So, well, they said to go on the back, look at the fourth shelf. And the guy goes, we don't have this. Goes to the back, looks there. Sure enough, there's a dusty old bottle of some stuff. He said, I didn't even know we had this. Edgar Cayce was 100% correct on all kinds of stuff. The thing he was not correct on was that by 1999, we would have the massive tsunamis, the planetary flip, the 3 days of darkness that somebody just asked about. It's 3 days that I've heard of. And that we would basically wipe out the coastlines because those giant tsunamis would wipe out all the major cities, which are all built on what? As ports, because we used to have sailing ships, right? So they're all ports: Hong Kong, London, New York, LA, San Francisco, Sydney, Singapore, all, you know, The Hague, all the cities there on the ocean would have been wiped out, killed civilization. That is actually what was scheduled to happen. I remember. And as it got close to 1989, something changed. Something changed. So we're actually doing very well. We have not done the cataclysmic catastrophism, reset, start over. Now, maybe some timelines did that, but us of us in this timeline, or if you're listening to this, that didn't happen. I remember asking Babaji about this, and he simply said in a very funny way, I said, what happened? I thought the whole thing was going to go down with the ship, and, or, you know, we have to do, the predictions were going to come true. And he said, something changed. And when we felt into it deeper, it had to do with enough people didn't need or want to go through the catastrophism again. So we're actually doing very, very well. Even though these threats of war, imminent collapse of the dollar, everything's going to collapse this week. You better freaking convert all your money to gold and dig a hole in Montana and put up foot-thick metal bunkers to hide it. It doesn't come. Why? Because you and enough of us are choosing, all right, I don't really want to do that again. And as if there's enough of the collective that choose, now you could also say this, just every timeline happens. Yeah, Bay of Pigs happened. We killed each other in 1963, wiped it out. And it has been Mad Max on Earth ever since. Yep, that's probably actually happening somewhere. In some parallel timeline, it's there. Of course. So in this timeline, the one I'm enjoying, I want to have a good time. I want to enjoy it. I want to move towards freedom, towards no locks, to no need for money, to floating UFO ships that are full of your own private hot tub UFO that's see-through if you want it, and others, and it's quiet, beautiful, no kid, whatever. And that could be a stepping stone. Ultimately, of course, Jesus, Krishna, Mataji, and these Kuan Yin, they don't need UFOs. That's ridiculous. The body itself is the vehicle. I am the Stargate. I am the UFO. I am the space traveler instantly. The soul is the ultimate UFO. It doesn't need technology. You don't need some super crystalline aluminum, titanium crystal melted mixed together. That is the perfect material that interfaces with your consciousness. That's still a fallen system. Technology is fallen. All technology is fallen. All technology is a substitute for your own already innate abilities. Television is just remote viewing that you're not using. Telephones are just remote audio, clairaudient that you're not fully in contact with, right? All of it. Clairsentience is the internet. I can know everything, except I don't need a fucking computer to sit here and dial up Google. I just know it instantly by tapping into the Akasha, the fine photonic energies of the universe. Even before, imagine consciousness dust, consciousness photons. That's the Akashic records. As I'm saying these things, just also you can feel in yourself, I have that in me. Humans are actually going to turn out to be, and I was told this years ago as well. I made a tape called the gods, meaning we worship the ETs, like the Anunnaki, the Pleiadians, so forth, the Syrians, whatever. We worship them as gods. But the gods are afraid of being human. They're afraid to get down, get a body, incarnate, infleshate, get down here, feel some emotions instead of staying in your ivory tower, floating in there in the fourth dimension, fifth dimension. The last shall be first and first shall be last includes also that the galactic model for the new god of the galaxy is this humanoid model that is the melting pot that Earth is. I know that's far out. It's not going to happen tomorrow. I said 500, 700 years from now. Who knows? Who cares? Time is a relative thing. Get started now in your body, your inner body. Do it now. Somebody asked here something about alchemy, which is another thing I work with, the alchemyenergyprocess.com. What are your thoughts on alchemy and becoming more connected with one's environment and the intelligence in the landscape and nature? And how do you see technologies combining with these new energies, biology? Well, didn't I just talk about that? I didn't even see that before. Yeah. So there is a way to have it work together. Again, that depends on the heart. If it's done from love or from respect or from non-trespassing, there's nothing wrong with technology. I love it. I'm freaking glad we have the internet so I can do this, what I'm doing right now. Right? It's awesome. Now, I find myself lately tons the last couple of years. I'll just be somewhere and I start talking to everybody, to people I know. I'm like talking to them in the noosphere. This is how teachers do it. This is how God does it. How you do it anyway. When you're dreaming at night, you're off talking to all kinds of people that you know. Some you don't know yet, you know yet. One thing that happens, I've talked to my shaman friend who helps build the place in Peru, and one of my human teachers that I was talking to them about, how do you feel when people are having all these dreams about you and they say that you're talking to them and they go, well, that's real, you know. And that's going to happen more and more too. As we become aware of being multidimensional. I was sitting in the bathroom this morning. I'm talking to like 3 people that I know. And you guys know me. I'm talking to you. I'm not talking to you on the phone. I'm talking to you in spirit. And this is going to happen more and more. Hey, I was just thinking about you. And I'm like, yeah, I know. Right? These are natural, evolving abilities. Just in this moment right now, feel the seed, all the natural, latent spiritual abilities that are described in Patanjali's Yoga Sutras and this and that and the other. Solomon did it through wizardry, whatever. I recommend doing it naturally through the heart. Let it evolve naturally. If you're worried about seeing spirits, don't push that. Be more concerned with knowing source, God, high intelligence, and then these abilities are naturally added unto you. I don't want it too fast. I want it when it's safe. I want it when I'm not going to seduce myself into another fucking 1,000 lifetimes of off into some power game or some cultish crap on some planet somewhere, blah, blah, blah. I'm done. Been there, done that. I burnt the t-shirt. I don't want any part of it anymore, right? That's the decision in you. What do you want? It's a great opportunity on earth right now for real awakening. Don't push yourself. Don't jump ahead and go, oh, it's all good. If it's not, like, for instance, the Neo-Advaita bullshit. I want to be pretty direct sometimes on these. Advaita is a true concept, the Indian concept of oneness, suchness. It all is one. There's no division. There's no good or bad. Advaita, yes. I and the oneness is one. Nothing. There's no differentiation of good and evil. Absolutely true concept. Advaita. Advaitai. Somebody's laughing their ass off. That sounds good. Do you need to laugh your ass off? How big is it? Good for you. Weight loss programs. Laughing your ass off. Good deal. We should start one of those. Advaita, but there's a whole push out there today. And again, this is the learn and discern, is they say nothing ever happened. There is no experience. Who is the questioner? Who's asking the question? These are techniques that guys like Nisargadatta Maharaj, Ramana Maharshi, somewhat, because he was basically just floating in the oneness all the time, or Ramana Maharshi, they've tried these techniques to reach humans. Who am I? Who's asking? You know? But if it's not real and you're using it, anything can be misused. Any teaching can be misused. Hello, look around you, right? So there's going to be influences for avoiding the real awakening. The real awakening includes the body and your emotions. That's the one I'm particularly here to be interested in for myself, apparently, and also to share with the planet. So the next book I'm working on, I'm about 2/3 done with it, is about just getting down to the nitty-gritty about the emotional body and getting real to heal, you know. All that needs to be included. There's stories of yogis that would ascend. They would learn the loosening of the chakras, the one-pointed meditation, but it was still techniquing, a bit of a forcing. It wasn't natural. They were gaining the powers through unnatural abilities. I'm going to say it right now. Most of the Tibetan shit is black magic. Most of it. Do the techniques work? Yes. Techniques are techniques. They're sort of amoral. But without the heart, without the playfulness of Earth, and that's why Earth holds innocence for, it's sort of an innocence planet for the galaxy as well. She's not the only one. There's salt all of, around, the salt of the Earth, the salt of the galaxies all over. But particularly this direct, spontaneous innocence is Earth's gift to the galaxy. And spontaneous innocence is a ultimate stargate in beyond the creation. It is the fountain of life. It is the effervescing, everlasting, ever effulgent, ever newness. As soon as the mind tries to get a hold of it and explain it, death starts happening or decay. So you are equipped with a body. The real awakening on Earth is going to be through the body this time. We've reached the place where we can actually teach that sort of publicly, that through the body, include the physical. Therefore, the ayahuasca example of where she doesn't go, oh, I got enough of speed going that I can just launch myself off the planet and ascend the fuck out of here and avoid ever trying to incarnate again. By the way, that's not how it happens. There are lokas. Loka is where we get the word location from. It's a Sanskrit word, loka. Heavens, if you will, where there's siddhas. Siddhas became free in their last lifetime. They could consciously leave the body. Tibetan rainbow body stuff. But they are not supremely free because they will have to reincarnate and come and get the remnant of their emotions and their physicality. Any energy that is yours is still attached to you. That's how the Anunnaki got trapped on Earth, because their energy, they created babies through the Earth women. Your energy is if you splinter yourself, which is soul fragmentation, soul fragments, definitely real. You have to go back and get them at some point. You got to put yourself back together again. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's men can't put them back together again, but the heart can. The king's men don't have heart. They're fucking army, secret police, Gestapo. But the Jack of Hearts, the King of Hearts can. King Arthur tried to be the King of Hearts, to include the round colors, the green, the black, the white, the colors of the knights with heart. He didn't succeed at the time. He got killed by more dread. More dread, less dread. Yes, his own stuff. His own son, Mordred, killed him. They're all archetypes, but they're also real. The devil is an archetype. It's also real. Depends on where you want to place your attention. Do you want to manifest it, or do you want to play with it as thoughts and concepts and archetypes inside your consciousness? Either side is real. So this time on earth, sow in yourself. Here's the one thing I want to sow with you today. I am this very body, this very spinal column. I am an access point to source. The heart energy, your solar plexus, your sex life gate chakra, your root chakra, all of the body is actually congealed sacred energy. Obviously, now we're worshiping the pineal gland, you know. Oh, you can see visions. Big fucking deal. I mean, it's good a good wake-up call. I'm just saying, for people on the spiritual path for a while, seeing a bunch of visions is like, yeah, whoop-de-da. Are you manifesting any of them? Are you able to live them? Are you able to experience them? The real action is here on a planets like Earth, where we are digging deeper into the 3D, okay? And being able to do things, feel things, include the emotional, physical body with the spirit, with the heart. That's the action. And we're doing very well. Now, most of the people in human bodies at this point are not going to wake up. Let's get real about that. People alive today, they're not going to wake up. If we get 20% of this planet that wakes up this lifetime, that would be a freaking miracle. Different levels. So, but there's enough interest now, enough souls that have lived through blowing up Maldek, the planet, ripping the atmosphere off of Mars, sinking Lemuria, sinking Atlantis, destroying, there was parts of Babylonia that were good, destroying that. The Egyptian raw infusion, trying to create ascension chambers, collapsed again. The Greek impulse of awakening and beauty and reasoning and plays and music and philosophy and science crashed. Rome was even worse. It gets worse and worse, or less real, less quality, I should say. Rome fell, took what, 1,000 years? I think when I stood in the Roman Forum 2 years ago, there was a pillar here. There's the Saturn's temple was built 600 BC. Wow, I think so. Anyways, 1,000-year span that the Roman Empire lasts. How long is America lasting right now? If we make it to 300 years, we'll be lucky, right? 250? I don't know. Let's see. Pretty much hitting that same exact space today. So these cycles, this is the time enough of us have done it. I am the access point. If you can learn, if you could start feeling that, not as a chore. Don't do, I should do meditation and enlightenment. Fuck that shit. It's like a chore, like a should. No. Make it so that you want to eat donuts or Haagen-Dazs ice cream or something. My awakening, my enjoyment, I love having private alone time to be in communion. Now, I don't sit and meditate all the time, like some formal meditation, but I'm in communion because it gets quiet enough that I'm feeding myself. It's like when artists or scientists move into that space, they forget to eat. Why? because they're feeding themselves directly from the source. Right in yourself, in your body right now, could you feel, how could I just allow the food of the universe to go through my spinal column? You're doing it anyway. Each breath is literally a feeding, renewing source of yourself. Make it enjoyable. Doesn't mean you have to sit there and be all, oh, no, you don't have to do that. Full on play, full on heavy fucking music, playing it yourself, getting possessed by the energies. Awesome. It's not, the old models are going away. It's about expansion. The new enlightenment model is going to be not ascension, it's going to be expansion. Include. Ayahuasca is part of the new model. Pele is part of the new model. Babaji is the new model and the old model. Shiva is the old and the new. They are bridges across these epochs. But on Earth, the new awakening is the full spectrum human. The fuller spectrum human, you know, to include your heart, to include the emotions. I drive people fucking crazy. You want to come live with me? You'll leave. You know, somebody said Joy must be a saint. I said, oh yeah, she's a fucking saint. But I give it as much as I take it. You know, you come to me and you're real with me, I like it. I don't like to attack. I'm not into attacking, condemning. But if that needs to come out, that's fine. You know, fuck you. I hate this about you, whatever. That's fine. Big deal. But the real awakening is going to include becoming ye as little children, being exactly honest. I spend a lot of time in my day. I'll say, I'm having these feelings. I'm feeling this right now. Just letting them come up like bubbles. Just letting them come up. It's like we're going through the bends. You know, if you've been deep sea diving, you come up, you got a nitrogen, oxygen, you got a whatever it is. The nitrogen has to process through your bloodstream so that you don't, if you come up too fast, it's like you're going to burst some of your blood cells. So you got to do it gradually, right? But it's got to come up. We got to go through the detox. It's got to come out of us. Otherwise, you can't just keep downloading light and understanding. That'll just pressure your body and your system. And it has to go together. Emotions and body, spirit and mind. They have to do this or this together. They can't just go one way or one, you know, then you get unbalanced and die, basically. You disconnect from the spirit disconnects from the physical. So the new model is the full spectrum human. All the chakras, all the colors of the human rainbow. Why do we have those colors in our chakras? Because that's the colors of Earth. Black, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, white. That's 8 chakras right there. 9. It's the whole rainbow. Clear. What's beyond white? Clear. You know, you can add different things, but it's basically the rainbow. Why? Because that's how Earth works. When there's rainfall, the rainbow, you can't argue with it unless you're colorblind. You can't see it, right? But those are the colors. We are made of the same colors. They are frequencies. And there's more to it. Those are the visible colors, but we are part of that. Learn. I'm going to learn. Feel this idea if you like it. Download it into yourself. I'm going to learn my operational system. Enjoy the drama, the Anunnaki, the Pleiadians, the secret space program, the fucking cabals on the Earth running it, the secret lies about the true history of Earth and the Agartha inner Earth and secret space program bases on Mars and the moon. Enjoy all that. Enjoy true versus false history, the thing coming out. Angkor Wat, you know. What is that? Well, who built those buildings? The Sun Temple down in Ollantaytambo in the Sacred Valley. You can stand there and feel it. Sacsayhuaman. Who built that? That's obviously, we're Göbekli Tepe, like I mentioned. That the National Geographic has to admit it's at least 13,000 years old. Gee, for 30, 40 years, it's been like, oh, humans started in the Fertile Crescent Valley. Approximately 5,000 years ago was the first agriculture. We know that's bullshit. Well, now, quietly, it slipped in there. National Geographic magazine. Göbekli Tepe is at least 13,000 years old. 26 stone circles of these strange pillars that look like frequency tuning devices that were buried. Whatever civilization made them, buried them in sand, so they are perfectly preserved. Conundrum, paradigm, mind blower for the whole collective. If you look, it's there. So it's a great show that's coming right now. But if you want to ascend yourself, the new lingo, the new parlance, expand yourself, feel the larger you got to do something. You got to make yourself open to it. At first, there's going to be some unaddicting. You were cultured and culted in a cult a certain way. You were raised in the world. It imprinted on the young child. It's nervous system, belief systems, physical, cellular imprints. No different than when a baby duck, if the first thing a baby duck sees, Lorenz, the famous psychologist, right? He did this huge groundbreaking experiments, big deal, right? But let the ducks hatch, and the first thing they saw was him. Well, they just imprinted, that's our mommy. So he would walk around his house with 5 little ducks following him around. Imprinting. He was studying how humans are also the concept of being imprinted. So you're going to have to undo some of those imprints. It's what Don Juan teaches Carlos Castaneda. You have to undo your programmed in culture. Those that cannot do that are going to go down with a ship. They're going to have to face the monsters inside their own subconscious that will overwhelm them. And the universe, God source, will lovingly take them out of their misery. So there's not going to be some nice, everybody's going to wake up, 7 billion people. It's not going to happen. There's going to be as much grace as possible because of free will. Those that want to wake up, those that are ready, that it's timely for. There's no judgment here. I love my dogs. There's none in here. I got the door closed at the moment. But they're not going to learn trigonometry. Certain souls with human bodies are not going to learn about 4th, 5th, 6D working with energies. They're not going to. God loves them. Source loves them. Source will provide, take care, protect, help. You're going to have to learn who's who. Just because you have a human body doesn't mean you're ready for, awakening to certain things. Some spirits have just attained human body. Gabby, my little golden, the little girl, she's going to be human her next lifetime. She's right there. And she wants to. Bentley's like, I'm not sure I want to be human. And there's no push to evolve and advance. It's where you want to enjoy. It's free will, free choice. But if you want to awaken and become a god, don't you know ye are gods? Jesus says directly at one point to the crowd. I don't think he said it to the whole crowd. I think it was sort of a smaller crowd. And he's trying to point out. So if we're ready, as someone like a master teacher, like Jesus says, do these things that I did. You can do this too. Don't you know your gods? These things that I do, you shall do in greater things, right? And that's what yogis do. They go, look, people are like, oh, master. And at certain points are like, look, no worshiping me. You have it in you. So is this real? Yeah, it is real. My little journey this lifetime of 30 years, things have really changed. Talking to spirits, feeling people, being able to feel entities and energies in people. It's really cool. It's fun. And it's fucking terror-inducing and heartbreaking, But it is definitely possible. So millions of us are going to do another layer of awakening this lifetime. We may not become Shivas, or giant gods or god sources, but we will become our own types of gods. And we're also not meant to do it cookie cutter. Just because Eckhart Tolle's doing his thing, and Katie Byron's doing that, and Yogananda's doing that, and Ayahuasca, and Pele's doing her thing. She's a goddess, by the way, a nature goddess. She came and talked to us the first time we were at the volcano and doing a dolphin swim. Spiritualtravelers.com if you're interested in doing a dolphin swim. Actually, we're going to shift it from Hawaii as well. We're going to go to the Bahamas and be with the spotted dolphins. That's a different vibe. That's an Atlantean vibe. That's a tapping into the Atlantean thing in the Caribbean, in the Bahamas. I don't know if the Bahamas is the Caribbean, but anyway, I guess so. But the first time we went to see Pele, we walked down in a crater, and we offered her some. The next morning, she showed up and talked to us. She showed up, and she was like, we're sitting by the beach where we do the open air. We used to do this beautiful resort that's been converted to a sanctuary now, Keho Beach Resort in South Kona. And sitting right by the water, she showed up. And this little woman, the woman from Indonesia, beautiful young Muslim girl from Indonesia that came, she was just meditating, and everybody stopped, and we just looked at her. She was super shy, had kind of nerd, big. She was studying engineering, thick glasses and stuff. And she wasn't really physically good, like swimming and stuff. I had to help her a little bit to get out to the dolphins, or just make sure I guided her. God bless you if you ever listen to this. It was very beautiful. And all of a sudden, she's just starting to merge, sitting there on the beach, and she turns into a little Buddha. Beautiful. Everybody noticed it. We just we stopped talking, just watched her. And then when she came back, she was like, oh, she's all a little embarrassed and stuff. It was very cute. Well, Pele came and talked to us that day. And it's just a direct message. It came through me. I hardly ever channel stuff, but occasionally on these courses that I do, a spirit shows up and goes, hey, tell them what I'm saying. I don't do it unconsciously. I'm totally there listening myself. I'm just seeing in the third eye. I never thought that would happen to me. And the reason I'm telling you guys this is because we all have these talents. And this is this time of new, finer electric spirit energies that are happening on the planet. Access them. Just say yes to it inside you. I have this ability, potentially. They're latent there the whole time. I recommend the Inner Body Awakening, and I'm also probably going to do some just verbal webinars, like the classes I do on Sundays. By the way, those are a little more personal. You can ask questions. You can, like, I want healing with this. And so we personally, these are sort of teaching, general sharing concepts, ideas, and this and that. But because of the size here of people, we have a bunch of people listening who can't do it individually. And on those, we're keeping it a little smaller, And so people ask questions and say, I want to do this, or I want to. And we also, the intention is to literally download the energies into us that we want, we need. And that does help sometimes with a collective intention, like wherever 60, 79 of us or more are gathered. It works here too. So courseofawakening.com is if you want to do the Sunday webinars, which are just listening. I don't do it like this. This is God's been bugging me, source, my own heart's been bugging me, saying, start doing these public webinars too. And part of me is like, really? Don't want to put my neck out there again? Oh my God, please. Could you get that guillotine away from me, please? Okay, that wasn't so much fun in those lifetimes, right? By the way, you're going to have to face those things in yourself too. Any kind of real healing path, you're going to have to surface some of the old lifetimes you've done. The good thing is that spirit is much thicker than water. Spirit is much thicker than karma. Spirit is much more powerful and can dissolve any kind of old memories in ourselves. Some of them are big. I've been having a neck thing going on for a while, which could be related to this, sticking my neck out again, doing this again. But we have to walk through it, or you don't have to suffer through it the way you did last time. It has to be somehow surfaced and acknowledged or seen or felt, it seems like. Now you can do that really long and hard and slow, or you can do it more elegantly, more interestingly, more fun. All right. So here, like someone has said, I don't know if you answer personal questions. It's fine if you don't, but am I a star seed? Are you able to answer these questions? I am able to answer those questions. Now I'd have to just feel into it for a while. But just like in Illusions, that book with Donald Shimoda, I'm basically gonna just feel what spirit wants to do. That's my first commitment. But like I said in the webinars, courseofawakening.com, the smaller groups, these I have a feeling are going to could get kind of bigger. Well, we'll take personal questions that you sow into the group as we started. So thank you again. I'm glad this worked. I learned some more tech today about how to play with the microphone and the camera. Sounds like this worked. I still have people watching, I can see here. And I'm going to get better and better and better at being able to process and tap in also. I saw some of your questions today, and it's also a good forum. All right. Thank you so much, guys. Thursdays, this one I had to reschedule because of the technical difficulties this morning. But 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, Los Angeles, San Francisco time, 10 a.m. That usually is 1 p.m. Actually, it is 1 p.m. on the East Coast, and then it's like 6 or 7 p.m. in Europe. I think in Israel, it's more like 8 or 9 p.m. And that covers the most of the people that I can reach. And I know Australia is later. I'm sorry, in China and India. And you guys can watch it later. Or like somebody from Holland said, was it middle of the night? I thought it would be more. Yeah, right now it is. 5 o'clock is definitely middle of the night over there. But 10 a.m. should be around 6, 7, or 8 p.m. in that part of the world. So 10 a.m. Los Angeles time, even Arizona, because I'm on that same time right now. We changed a little bit, but I'm going to keep it simple. Pacific Standard Time, 10 a.m. on Thursdays, which is whatever time it is for you. Now, remember, you can also catch it on YouTube. If you want to do it live, you do it on Google. YouTube is a 30-second delay. You're still watching it live, but there's a 30-second kind of delay. And then it should post automatically as well to YouTube right now. All right. Much love. Thank you very much. I'm glad it worked. And I'll get better and better at it. And I'll have guests on and interesting stuff. And we're going to make this, my intention is to share my particular role in sowing powerful seeds of awakening into people, not just mental masturbation discussions, but actually as part of this also ahas that are going to take root and do something. All right. Thanks again. Much love. See you next time. See you Thursday. Same bat channel. Batshit crazy? Sometimes from some people watching, I know. Much love. All right. Ciao.